بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد
اللهم صل على محمد
وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين جل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of 40 hadith, and since it is the 28th of Safar here, we offer our condolences to Imam Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif for the demise of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba Alayhi Salam, and also soon would be the demise anniversary of Imam Reza Alayhi Salam. May Allah inshallah give us more understanding and more similarity inshallah to them. There is a chapter here under Hadith 20 about khulus, about sincerity, and the title of the chapter is the fact that khashya and true intention are the factors that make an action right. So, as you remember in the hadith, al-khashya and an-niyatu as-sadiqa were mentioned about ahsanukum amalan, which meant aswabukum amalan. So Imam Khomeini now wants to expand on these two things, which are the criteria for completion and perfection of actions. میزان در کمال و تمامیت آن, means the criterion for perfection and completion of action in this hadith are two things: fear from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God fearing, and second, true intention and sincere intention. So he has a very good discussion here. This is one of the areas of 40 hadith that you get really deep account of psychology of nafs and the way our actions and our intention interact and have impact on the nafs and vice versa. It's a very good discussion here. So today we will only discuss this chapter inshallah. So he wants to explain how fear and sincere intention function and why they are so important. He says every action, good or bad, has an impact on our soul. This is the first thing that you need to know, and you all know this. Every good or bad action has an impact on our nafs. We believe actually not only every good or bad action, even every good or bad intention, and not only good and bad intention, even good and bad thoughts. Even if you keep, letting bad thoughts go through your mind, even if you don't make intention of doing them, it has bad impact. Thinking about good thoughts has good impact. But at the basic level, because we are talking about action, we say that good actions and bad actions have impact on the soul. If the good action is an act of worship, its good impact is to make our physical faculties subordinate to our aql, and to make our mulki aspect, our worldly aspect, our material aspect subordinate to our malakuti and spiritual aspect. So when we eat and drink for the sake of, for example, enjoying, we are making our nafs even more inclined towards mulk, towards dunya. But when we worship, proper worship, we do the opposite. We make our aql stronger and our mulki side weaker. If this continues, we would reach the point that our aql would have full control over our tabi'ah, over our physical, material, animal nature, whatever you call it. And if our aql and our malakuti side has control, then jazabat ruhiyye, spiritual attractions, would start becoming more and more permanent. They start before, but to become permanent and more regular is when you have made your aql in control of your tabi'ah. Every action that can have greater influence like this can better help aql to gain control and can better control tabi'ah, or mulki side of us, is better, is aswab, is ahsan. And he says perhaps the hadith, we have hadith which says afdalul a'mal ahmazuha, the best of the actions are those which are the most difficult. He says this can be one interpretation for those hadiths. Because they are more difficult, it means that they have greater impact on your nafs. Because they are more painful, more pressurizing, putting more force on nafs to go down and become subordinate to aql. And then he says taqwa, which purifies the soul. This taqwa helps actions, good actions, to function better. Because imagine if you have something very good like an ibadah, and your soul is not muttaqi, is not pious, is not pure, it has lots of impurities, the impact would not be that much, or maybe even nothing. But if your soul is clean, is pure, like for example, if someone smells bad and you put perfume, it may not solve the problem unless you can, pour perfume on him. But if someone doesn't smell bad, even one drop of perfume is enough. So This is why we say إنما يتقبل الله من المتقين. Allah only accepts from the people who are pious. So one aspect of it, I'm not saying this is the only meaning, but one aspect of it is this, that if you are muttaqi, means the screen, your nafs is clean, then the actions can work. But if nafs is not clean, the actions may be not able to work, or they may work very little. Maybe you keep doing, then they may work. So, khashya, which is very important in having taqwa, helps in having actions which are better, which are aswab, which are more appropriate. This is about the first point. Then about an-niyyatu as-sadiqa. Niyya is like the agent, like the doer. Khashya was like a condition, was a shart, was a condition for action to have good impact. If you want your action to have good impact, there must be fear, which would lead to piety, which would mean that there is a clean place, space that action can work on. But niyyah is more fundamental. Niyyah is not a condition. Niyyah is quvvat fa'ilin, quvviyya fa'ilin. Niyyah is the doer. Because, as we have said this in Akhlaq series, when hadith says an-niyyatu asasul amal, the niyyah is the basis of action. We have explained this, and Imam Khomeini also mentions here that niyyah is the soul and the spirit for our action. When I pray, the physical actions are like the body, but my niyyah is the soul. If I have no niyyah or bad niyyah, and I bring all the wajibat of salat, even I bring all the mustahabbat of salat, but without niyyah or without good niyyah, it has no life, because it has no soul, it has no spirit. It is intention that actually makes something which could be just physical rise to a spiritual level. It is true that as-salatu mi'rajul mu'min. Salat helps you to rise, to ascend. But you also have to help your salat to rise. And that is when you have good intention and attention. As I have been saying, that salat without presence of the heart is like a statue of a bird which cannot fly. When Isa alayhi salam was making from clay a statue of a bird, it could not fly. He had to blow into it. وَإِذْ تَنْفُخُ وَإِذْ تَخْلُقُ وَإِذْ تَخْلُقُ مِنَ الطِّينِ كَهَيْئَةِ الطَّيْرِ فَتَنْفُخُ فِيهِ فَيَكُونُ طَيْرًا بِإِذْنِي. When you create from the clay something like the shape of bird, and you blow into it, and it becomes a bird, bi'izni, of course with the blessing of Allah, with the leave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So salat is like that clay which is made into the shape of bird, but it's not the bird, it cannot fly. We need to blow into it from our spirit something that can give a spirit to the bird, and then the bird can fly. If you blow from your spirit into your action, like salat, then your salat will rise, and then inshallah you can also rise. You can say, how this is possible? My salat depends on me, and I have to give life into it. Then how can it help me? As we have said before in the last session, there is a mutual relation between self and action. Good spirituality, good self brings good action, and good action makes you even better. It is one of the, blessings, one of the very, I can say, special gifts that if I cannot make my whole personality all of a sudden better, I can try to make my actions better, and then little by little I myself become better. Let me give you an example. Suppose I have very bad relation with someone. We have reached a point that our relation is almost broken. To restore this relation, it's not easy. There are many things that have happened over years that has made our relation reach this point. But I can offer that person a gift. I can do something for that person sincerely. This is one act. I did not manage to change the whole relation, but I managed to have one good action. This one good action then can improve my relation with that person. When my relation with that person improves, then I can do more, and he may also do more, and little by little we become friends. Even we can do this with enemies. ادفع بالتي هي أحسن السيئة فإذا الذي بينك وبينه عداوة كأنه ولي حميم. With good repel the bad, then the person that you had enmity becomes very close friend, very intimate friend. So, don't be surprised if I say your action can improve you. Your action, which depends on you, can raise your level. This is very logical. So, niyyah is very important because niyyah gives a spirit to the action. In akhlaq discussions in the Hawza, or maybe in the Quranic series, I'm not sure, maybe in the Quranic series, I mentioned that niyyah has this, if you call it magic, of course not magic, but you can call it like magic. It's this extraordinary power that can transform something physical to something spiritual. I think it was in the Quranic sciences series when I talked about alam indiyat, and I talked about the interactions, and this is the power of niyyah. Something which is worldly and therefore would perish, with niyyah can become spiritual and remain. Most of our actions that we do without niyyah, we look at things, we walk around, we sleep. If we have no intention, they will perish. Because كل ما من عليها فان, and everything in this dunya and people who are in this dunya, they will perish, but وَيَبْغَى وَجْهُ رَبِّكَ. Only anything which is facing God and helping us to face God would remain. So all the actions will perish except those for which you have good intention. They will remain forever. Or na'uzu billah, of course, if you have bad intention, they also would remain. But we wish they didn't remain, because they are remaining in a bad way, in a troubling way. In a sense, they also perish, because their lazza will perish. The little benefit that you are going to get will perish, but the impact, the mark that they have put can remain. So, niyyah has this power of transformation in a good way or bad way. So, now you realize why in the hadith there was focus on khashya and an-niyyatu sadiqa when we were talking about actions which are better or aswab. Then Imam Khomeini talks about shirk, because purity and sincerity of intention is opposite to shirk. Shirk is not just to worship idols. Yes, if we worship idols, that is obvious shirk. If we do things for the pleasure of people also, that is shirk. And it can make your ibadah void. If I pray to please someone, I fast to please someone, from fiqh point of view, this is void. But Imam Khomeini says, even if you pray for getting access to heaven, or for saving yourself from hell, again this is shirk. It's a hidden shirk. This is maybe a shirk that from fiqh perspective it is not making your salat void. But from a spiritual point of view, you are worshipping yourself. You are listening to God. You are bringing salat or other wajibat to serve yourself. Still, you are not really a muwahhid, a monotheist, a servant, an abd. You are trying to serve yourself. You are still somehow selfish. But you are more clever than other selfish people. Those who are short-sighted and selfish, they don't pray and they do other things. Those who are far-sighted and selfish, they pray because they know they can go to heaven, or they can, save themselves from punishment in hell. But still there is selfishness. Of course, I am not very comfortable to say this is selfishness. I would say this is self-interestedness, but according to Imam Khomeini, and there is a sense, of course, that what he says, we can agree. He called this also shirk. But he says, although this is shirk, and although this should not help us at all, Allah is so kind that He says, even if you have this level of freedom from shirk jali, from obvious shirk, it is good, and I will reward you. So even if you do ibadah not for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but for the sake of heaven, or for the sake of being saved from hell, he says, okay, still there is a value in this, and still I would reward you and I appreciate. But if you really want to be pure and have no shirk at all, there must be no concern other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, this ayah that Ibrahim ala nabiyina wa ali wa salam said, يوم لا ينفع مال ولا بنون إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم. The day neither money nor children can benefit except those who come to their Lord with salim, with pure or healthy heart. What is qalb salim? Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, according to hadith in Al-Kafi, القلب السليم الذي يلقى ربه وليس فيه أحد سواه. Qalb salim is the one that meets his Lord while there is no one else in that heart. Like what Imam Hussein alayhi salam said in Dua Arafah, أنت الذي أزلت الأغيار عن قلوب أحبائك or أوليائك حتى لم يحبوا سواك. You removed everything other than yourself, all the others, from the heart of your lovers or your friends. I am doubting, is it أحبائك or أوليائك? Maybe أحبائك. To the extent that لم يحبوا سواك. They didn't love anyone other than you. Of course, they loved everyone else under you for the sake of you. So, أزلت الأغيار عن قلوب أحبائك, and here it says وليس فيه أحد سواه. There is no one else inside that heart. So, if your concern is reward, still is a problem. If your concern is saving yourself from azab, it's still a problem. I repeat, it doesn't mean that this is useless. No, Allah still appreciates, and still Allah would reward you, and still if this action, if continued, can help you reach higher levels. But from a spiritual point of view, if it was really what you are deserving because of this, he says you should deserve nothing because of doing something for the sake of reward or for the sake of saving yourself from punishment. Like we say, this is the worship of people who are hired, ujara, the people who are hired, the people who are like business people, tujjar, or the people who are afraid. Okay, then he says that the meaning of zuhd also that we have in this hadith, القلب السليم الذي يلقى ربه وليس فيه أحد سواه كل قلب فيه شرك أو شك فهو ساقط. He talks about shak, and he says also shak is related because shak stops you to becoming fully muwahhid. So shak is the epistemic side of it. It doesn't let you to be muwahhid. You become still mushrik because you have doubts, you have worries, you have hesitations, uncertainties. You cannot really concentrate and be focused on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is the problem. And also hadith says that the people like Prophet and those who wanted zuhd, they wanted zuhd لِتَفْرَغَ قُلُوبُهُمْ لِلْآخِرَةِ. They want their heart to be empty and be able to focus on akhirah. Any belonging, any attachment to dunya means you are not able to function with purity, with maximum sincerity. Okay, I think this chapter is enough for us for today. Very important points are mentioned here, and inshallah you can reflect. Then inshallah next session we will start with the chapter about definition of ikhlas. We will see what is the definition of ikhlas. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.